We'll talk about two latest court documents pertaining to the triple sec litigation in this video. The outcome of this lawsuit will be significantly impacted by these two filings, which we have been anticipating for some time. Guys, so make sure you stay for the entire thing, as at the end of this video, we'll be breaking down these two enormous filings. In this video, I'll go through the specifics of these two filings, highlight their key points, and discuss whether or not they might have an impact on the outcome of the case. I also want to show you a chart that you cannot miss, as well as the market component that is now having the most impact on cryptocurrency prices. You must watch the entire video to understand why you shouldn't skip it. As per usual, if you are a new or frequent watcher of our channel, please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Guys, let's start with the video. The first set of documents in the Ripple v. SEC case are the applications for summary judgment that both Ripple and the SEC submitted. This is really interesting because it shows that the pursuit of summary judgment has begun. However, we may still come to an agreement at any point. But at least this gives us the reassurance that the deadline for summary judgment is set. This is currently pretty exciting because it shows that this case has advanced significantly. It shows that both sides are ready to consider each other's final judgments and that they have successfully gathered all the evidence they intend to use. Actually, this is quite fascinating. Jumble Incorporated has made some strong cases for why he thinks this matter will be resolved before the end of the SEC fiscal year. It is also very likely, given that this is occurring right before many people anticipate that a settlement would be reached in this case. It is September 31st. And given that it occurred right before September 30th, I find it to be rather intriguing. Although we are unable to now see the proof, we will talk about when we will be able to do so later in this video. Now, each of these parties will be well aware of the strength of the other's arguments. This is quite thrilling, because both sides will present all of their evidence to the other at the halfway point of the month. In the process of these two sides coming to a settlement agreement, this will be a crucial step. Before yesterday, neither party was aware of the strength of the other's evidence. They were genuinely unaware of one another's supporting documentation. There could have been a lot of bluffing as a result. However, everything is now in the open for anyone to see. I now get the impression that the SEC and Ripple will be able to negotiate a settlement based on their understanding of which claims will win out and which supporting evidence will matter most. Now, whether or not this actually happened is a very different story. But it's important to keep in mind that a settlement wasn't truly required prior to this. Why then, before they even knew how convincing the other side's arguments were, would Ripple or the SEC actually resolve such a serious, consequential dispute? Both parties will be fully aware of the strength of the other side's argument now that yesterday has passed. And I believe that this will have a significant influence on whether a settlement occurs. Now, I do want to point out that there was a small mistake on the exact day on which all the material will be made publicly available. It seems like all the information will be made public on Monday in a tweet that Jeremy Hogan sent out yesterday. I tweeted a question about whether the SEC action against Ripple would be settled before the evidence was made public on Monday, and approximately 30% of people replied positively while nearly 70% disagreed. It's important to note that the SEC will be able to redact a sizable percentage of the information and that the majority of it won't be accessible to us until much later in the year. I think the majority of this material will still be kept a secret. Due to the SEC's concern that the Ripple's evidence will be made public, I don't believe there will be much of an incentive for them to really settle this matter. The SEC should have given Ripple's a lot more consideration since it would have wanted to settle before the material was made public. The information was made available to further cryptocurrency ventures in the future. They might all use it as justification to sue the SEC. The SEC, however, seems to have a little more spare time. Because of this, I don't think it's very probable that this problem will be fixed by Monday. I believe a much more plausible scenario would be for it to be solved by the end of September. It's important to emphasize that, in my opinion, if a settlement is not reached by September, this case will move on to trial. At that point, the timeline for summary judgment will be important. The time frame for summary judgment in the James K. file indicates that the complete body of evidence won't be presented to the public until December 22nd. If the matter goes all the way to December 22nd, I think it will be resolved. And we're hopeful that in the first half of 2023, this issue will be rectified. I realize how far away it seems. Hey guys, at least this legal dispute will end eventually. And even though I am positive that Ripple and XRP will win, I still think a settlement is more likely since I don't think the SEC will let this case go all the way to summary judgment. There is a conclusion, though, and I'll say that September will also be crucial because I want to keep moving forward and show you guys another wonderful stride as well as the entire SEC case. I absolutely did not expect this either. The Chamber of Digital Commerce ultimately issued an amicus brief in support of Ripple and its action against the SEC. Jeremy Hogan said that this brief from the Chamber of Digital Commerce would be very helpful, and he goes on to explain why he believes that the Chamber is very plainly emphasizing that the asset itself should not be a security. Furthermore, the SEC's justification for saying that XRP is a security has never been put forth before. He says the Chamber examines the lack of legal backing for the idea that secondary sales can be viewed as a part of an investment contract, going so far as to assert that the crypto coins themselves are not securities contrary to the SEC's earlier advice. This is good news since it actually answers the main worry that XRP investors have in this situation. We don't really care what happens to Ripple, to be perfectly honest. Naturally, I don't want to see something that could cause Ripple, like a business's launch. But I think such scenario is quite unlikely. I only genuinely care about XRP, just like you do, and nothing else. The designation of Ripple as a security has not yet been made. Actually, the main thing we're looking for is that. In addition, any misbehavior committed in the past by Ripple can be rectified with a few fines, so it's really not a big concern. For a considerable time. We all need XRP clarity, Ripple you and I included. It wouldn't even matter if XRP was referred to as a security because there must be clarity for it to function as intended. Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, according to the SEC. The fact that XRP has a different status in those two currencies is therefore absurd. The only real justification for why it doesn't make sense to be a security is this. And now let's go on. The fact that XRP, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, is not a security is the only logical reason for this predicament. Now, I think it will help a lot if the Digital Commerce Chamber makes this point. This argument is now being made as a result of John Dean's campaigning on behalf of 72,000 XRP holders and the Chamber of Digital Commerce on behalf of Ripple's. All that has to be done is to take on the SEC, which was evidently merely attempting to take over the sector. And because it is becoming very evident that the SEC is only interested in defending the interests of their own agency and not that of XRP investors, I think it will be abundantly clear. In my opinion, if we chose to move through with a summary judgment, Judge Torres would see right through this and rip the SEC to shreds. The SEC is wiser than this, though. My opinion is, this case, in my opinion, has already been settled. I want to end this video by displaying the business that now holds the bulk of the market, so let's focus on the good news for now. That is inflation, after all. No matter what the news or the topic of the story, inflation seems to take over and predominate the headlines. Inflation is the major reason for the fall we have seen across all assets because everything is terrified of it. And it is clear that it has completely controlled the mood of the market. Now I wanted to show you that two of the smartest people in our market, Elon Musk and Cathie Wood, both think that the Federal Reserve will soon need to alter course and start lowering interest rates. We must understand that as the Federal Reserve rises interest rates, the risk of the U.S. defaulting on its debt increases. The United States will eventually default on its multi-billion-dollar debt if it keeps hiking its own interest rates. Elon Musk and Cathie would concur that the Federal Reserve will alter shortly as a result of this. The most important lesson to learn from this is that when narratives entirely rule markets, we must zoom out and acknowledge their immense power. I tweeted this last night, and the only thing that appears is the XRP price chart. And I am aware that the current state of interest rates seems to be causing a lot of market volatility. But take a step back and think about what real volatility is. Back in 2021, we noticed a riff on the XRP price chart that was effectively caused by nothing. Following that, the price chart fell due to nothing. Examine these two noteworthy movements now and compare them to the movement caused by inflation that we just saw. The inflation is hardly discernible at all. I want to show you that XRP will do well despite the status of the economy. Regardless of the level of inflation, all of these tails currently seem to be just following the movements in the price charts. When it becomes helpful and is widely used, XRP will skyrocket. Right now, all we can do is wait for it to happen. We remain within this sizable triangle, as I also mentioned. Now, if we can burst through the top of the strong barrier we have been battling for some time, we will probably succeed. We intend to rip, and we intend to rip hard. We could fall to the ground at this moment, but I don't want to find out what would happen. I don't expect that happening. We'll be keeping an eye on it since there is a ton of fantastic stuff that is going to happen soon. Perhaps a settlement will take place concurrently. But who knows, guys? I hope you enjoyed this update. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you did. It has significant meaning right now.